Sports Interaction, Canada's Sportsbook.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season finale. I don't know if that drum roll got picked up on the stream, but the season finale of Game Over Vancouver, considering our team was too bad to make the playoffs. It's been a time. How are you guys tonight? Oh yeah, right. I'm Kaja May. I'm here with my co-host Sam Chang and Canuck Clay. It was a long game considering it went to overtime in a college arena, which is kind of fitting with how the season's gone for the Canucks to finish the season in a college arena.
Yes,
benches.
we started the season together. We are ending the season together. I'm blessed. That's why I'm wearing the shirt, to be with my two awesome co-hosts. And yeah, didn't they blow a 3-goal lead in game number 1? And they blew a 3-goal lead in game 82. So I think it's appropriate that we are indeed all together for tonight. Sam, what says you?
I think it's appropriate. I feel like they blew multi-goal leads all season, so it was only fitting.
Except this one they actually won. So
yeah,
it's a bit different than the first game.
I mean, I feel like this game was like a really good metaphor for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
a blown lead. They could have lost in regulation and still finished in the top 10 for the draft lottery, but they didn't. And then also they won. So
it's just the worst of every world. It's pretty much what it's.
But it was
like
fun
tonight.
for Connor Garland, just like the season was fun for Elias Pettersson. So there you go.
Yeah, Elias Pettersson hit 102, or did he get another point after that?
I believe it was 102.
It
Yeah,
was
he only
102?
won tonight.
Okay, good. I'm not, like, misquoting, but, like, congrats on 102. 3 more than Mitch Marner got. And then congrats Connor Garland for getting... That's his first career hat trick, correct? Because he didn't have one in Arizona. And it's a good thing to get against your former team. I do think he'll be a Boston Bruin soon, but...
Yeah, Garland and Best are doing their best auditions to stay here. I'm not sure what Bovillier did for his case tonight, but I'm sure we'll talk about that. That line was a little bit tricky, but I'm sure we'll get into everything.
Yes. Before we get into kind of the game recap scenario, I believe we have a message from our good friend Sports Interaction.
We do, and this is the 82nd time you're going to hear it, and the last time for 4 months. So get in on the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. Every hit, every shot, every goal from all your favorite teams and all your favorite players. With competitive odds, the best in live and play, and more ways than ever to get into the game. Like Minute Madness, our exclusive game with so many opportunities to win by the minute. Hence the name. Download the app in Ontario. Use the QR code that I don't think you see it on the screen, but we'll find it for you. I think it's in the link description of our show, or head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN to get started. 19 plus, please play responsibly. And thank you to Sports Interaction for sponsoring all of the Game Over shows across the entire network. And I'll just say this, Sam and Kaja, I know that we've been touting this all throughout the day. The Vancouver Canucks were the last Canadian team of all 7 to play. So that means we have the final Game Over Vancouver, the final Game Over show across the entire network, the final regular season show, that is, because 3 other markets get to do this all over again starting next week. Not us. And there's the QR code for everyone. Thank you.
I like that you had to clarify, not us.
Yes.
In case anyone in the chat thought we were going to the playoffs, we're not.
Yeah, no, we skyrocketed. Instead of 2 points, they gave us like 20, and we're top of the Pacific, considering that's still not decided, I think.
But you know what we should do? We should do Game Over for the draft lottery.
Oh God, sorry.
Yeah, actually, we have to compete with the Ottawa and Montreal crew, but yes, we should, Sam. That's a good idea, actually.
Just fight to the death with Game Over Ottawa and Montreal. So yeah, the Canucks in their final regular season game for the year. Oh, final game of the year. They win 5-4 in overtime to the Arizona Coyotes, or I guess the Tucson Roadrunners. I don't know where they stand currently with their roster situation, but I know like half of its players that don't play anymore. Sorry, I like making fun of the Arizona Coyotes. It's really bad. Yeah, 5-4. Connor Garland hat trick. It was more eventful than some of the other games that have been played as of late. 3-0 loss to the Los Angeles Kings on Monday. That was just abysmal hockey. Like, I get it, you want to start golfing, but like, it's still raining here. You need to give it a few days. I actually don't know if it's raining. I haven't gotten outside in like 4 days, but
It was nice.
Okay, that's good to know.
You're a hardworking student, Kaja. Good job.
No, I just there's people out there, I'm afraid. Yeah, a pretty eventful game between two teams that are gunning for the bottom of the league. Arizona has definitely done a better job of that. But yeah, overall, Sam, thoughts on the game aside from the fact that, you know, we didn't get our perfect tank odds and now we're at 3%, correct?
Yeah.
3%. I mean, 3, that's the number Kevin Bieksa has, and he was pretty good for us, I think, so.
I think a week ago we had the opportunity to finish between 3% and 6%, so I was hoping for 6%.
Yeah.
I think before March we had something like 20%. maybe slightly less than that, but a lot more than 3 or 6.
Yeah, because
yeah, I mean,
in March.
Yeah, no, Sam's right. Actually, the top team or the worst team, they have over 25% chance, 25.5% chance. Then it drops down to 13.5, and then goes kind of scales down from there. But you're right, Sam. We were there's one point where we were 5th from the bottom, so that would be 8.5%. Yeah, exactly. So we dropped from 8.5 down to 3. I'll say this: when Pettersson scored 3 minutes in, to me, there are 3 storylines that I was watching aside from the overall where we're going to finish off. So with PD scoring, now he was at 39. Kuzmenko came into the game at 39, and Boeser was at 18. And I had a feeling that he might get to get to 20, and his actual point total has been fine. It's just goals total has been down. But then I saw that he was playing with Joshua and Alman, and I thought maybe this would be a little tougher. But Boeser is quite determined. I don't know if you guys saw, he was going to the net. He was arguing with refs. He was arguing with Coyotes players. But alas, they wind up with 39, 39, and 18. I don't know what storylines you guys were looking at, but that's kind of what I had my eye on for the game.
I definitely have seen a resurgence for Brock Boeser, and I'm not just piping him up because he's one of my favorite players, even though he is. I do think he has taken a certain step. He knows at some point he has to kind of fight for his roster spot for next season, considering the amount of wingers we have now, considering the extension Kuzmenko signed recently, considering his cap hit for the next 2 years as well. He kind of knows his time with the Canucks is a bit in jeopardy, so that's why I feel like he's been taking that extra step, especially since the trade deadline. I feel like that was when, because there was a lot of confusion whether or not he'd be traded, and he was like, it feels more real this time when they talk about trade rumors now for him. And then he's still here at the end of the year, so let's see what this offseason brings. Hopefully, you know, he doesn't get injured at training camp again this year, and next year he'll get 30.
I like that. I think my favorite moment of the week, other than PD hitting 100, was when they reunited the lotto line. So
yeah,
I want to see more of the lotto line. That's what I want.
How much?
No, that's fair.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying it was quite magical, and even though the first time they connected on PD's 100th point, it actually went in order. It was 6:40 and 9. It was Boeser scoring from PD and Miller. So Sam, if you put the lotto line together, who plays in the middle on your other 3 lines?
That's a question for Rick Tocchet.
Sheldon Dries.
That's
Sheldon Dries, 82 games. Oh. Sheldon Dries Iron Man streak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Sheldon Dries, for what we brought him in for, he was pretty good to us. I'm just gonna say that. Like, you know, he had a few fights.
Yep.
Pretty good. Kyle Burrows, I will miss him probably.
Yeah.
With that great fight tonight after Niels Oman almost got injured, kind of did.
Yeah.
So that was.
But
sorry, go ahead.
But you guys bring up a really good point, though. I think, Kai, you started it, but I would love to ask both of you. There's a lot of talk. You know how, in all seriousness, joking around the centers, but then you could argue that Garland, Boeser, and Bovillier, especially those three guys, we're not going to trade McKay, but between Garland, Boeser, and Bovillier, some would say they're redundant, or they play the same game, or they all make $5 million or more, whatever it is. If you had to guess right now, and I know this whole show is going to be, we're going to try and talk about the game, but we're just going to launch into something else because it's our last show. If you had to bet now, how many of those three guys are back in September between Garland, Boeser, and Bovillier? What do you guys think?
Garland gets traded in the offseason. Boeser stays. Bovillier at the deadline next year.
Okay, so you start the season with two of them. How about you, Sam?
That's actually what I would have gone with as well.
Yeah.
That makes me feel smart.
I mean, I guess there's always the chance Boeser goes, but I think Garland's going to net you the biggest return at this point.
And he's more trade. Yeah, exactly. He's going to get you the biggest return, and he's more tradable because he is $1.7 million less. Yeah, every year.
And like, maybe call me a sap. I still have such a soft spot for PD and Boeser's friendship, and I think that they still have the potential for so much chemistry together. Like, I'm not ready to give up on that yet. I want to see that happen again.
Like, where would all the Boeserson content on the Canucks Twitter go? Like, literally, like, it's just all gone. I was gonna say about the lotto line a bit back. I was like, yeah, you call it the lotto line because, like, you're gonna have to win the lottery in order to pay all three of those players at the end of next year. So
I thought that was a reference to you being so young you don't even remember a 649 lotto, Kaja.
Isn't that still a thing? Is that not still a thing?
I can't take any more age comments from Kaja today.
Yes.
Okay, for context, it was Craig Anderson's last game in the NHL tonight, and he was the last active NHL player who was drafted before I was born. So, Marc-Andre Fleury, you are next.
Suddenly not feeling.
What did
so
you
good.
say? The year you were born was the year Naslund had 104 points?
Yeah, the season, so 02-03,
Yeah.
because I'm December of 02. So it's like, yeah, he had 104 points, won the Ted Lindsay. Yeah.
Sam, I would never make you divulge your age, but this brings me back to the first show of the year where I think we joked about this, and I talked about Kaja being young enough to be my daughter in a not creepy way, hopefully. Well, we're all good. I don't know what everyone else out there thinks. By the way, everyone watching, make sure you subscribe to SDPN. Make sure you like this video, and we want to thank you. I know we'll do this at the end too, but we want to thank you for sticking with us for the entire 82-game season. It hasn't been the easiest of times, but we love doing this, and we love that you've been so good to us and interacting with us. So thank you to everyone out there. We appreciate it.
I want to say so many of the people in the chat have shown up after every game. Like, I recognize each and every one of you, and it's so much, like, even when the season was a slog, even when we had to live through the Bruce Boudreau drama, it was made so much better being able to talk with all of you in the chat.
Definitely. I like that Just Incredible. He called this group therapy. And I feel like that's very accurate.
Yes.
Just imagine how amazing these shows are going to be when we're fighting for a playoff spot. I won't ask you to predict what season that's going to be. You know, I'm the eternal optimist. I was the one who predicted the Canucks would finish third in the Pacific this season.
I actually have said for the last few years that I think they are a bubble team to make the playoffs. I don't think it's actually out of the question for them to make it. I actually just have no confidence that once they make it, they'll make it very far.
Yeah.
Like, that's my real problem is I don't think they're incapable of doing it, but what I want from them is I want them to be the team that on paper, everyone thinks, oh, this team should go to the cup every year for the next 5 years.
If the 2022-23 Florida Panthers can get into the playoffs by the sheer grace of Matthew Tkachuk and Alex Lyon alone, I feel like that's enough fuel. If the Islanders can get in thanks to Sorokin, if who else? Seattle can get in with like a sub 900 save percentage. Do they still, like, I think they still have that, or they did at one point. If LA's kind of turned it around. If Vegas can get in with like the weirdest mascot possible, like, there's a lot. They talk about you get in the playoffs and anything can happen.
Yep.
I feel like that can apply in certain situations, especially considering the Western Conference and how insane it is at times. I just don't know if that would be the Canucks' success. Say if they got a wild card spot and they had to face off the current Edmonton Oilers, let's say. I know we beat the Oilers at one point in the season, but then again, it's the freaking Oilers in the playoffs.
Yeah. And that's the rub, because you can say, and we always start the season like this. Oh, look, we have Demko. Now we can say we have Hughes and Hronik on the back end. Now you can say you have PD and Kuzmenko and Miller, and they're all good players. There's not a lot behind them, but then Demko's got to stay healthy, and you got to have a good start to the season. There's all these, you have, if this happens, because there's simply no margin with this team. And so, Sam, I hear what you're saying is, I think at the start of every year, we're kind of optimistic. I know I am. And then the last 2 years, we've come out of the gate so badly, and it sucks being out of the playoff chase in November already. It really does.
And sorry, I know I'm repetitive, but I think the most frustrating thing about this season for me was like having to watch what we watched October through January with like the ultimate low of Bruce Boudreau, and there not being any draft payoff here. Okay, you know what? If we win the draft with a 3% chance, like go out and buy a lottery ticket. Like actually go out and buy a lottery ticket
Buy
because I think that's absurd. Like let's acknowledge that that's probably not going to happen. But like they could have had a way better chance, and I wanted that payoff. I wanted like a top 5 draft pick to compensate me for having suffered through those months. And now I feel like my compensation was March, which was like 1 month of winning. And it's like it was great. It was fun, but like I want a top 5 draft pick.
13-3-2, I think we went in March.
Wow.
Which is insane, but also why. It's not needed. We weren't making it. This team is so stupid. I'm just gonna say, it's stupid as dumb. I remember sitting in we lost 5-3. We gave up a 3-0 lead to the Edmonton Oilers in the first game that we ever did game over, and I remember just sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, no, there's still 81 games left. We can turn this around. Our pursuit, unfinished business. How well did unfinished business end for Tony Stark? This is how it ended up for us. Like,
well, they can use it again next year if they want.
just have the same t-shirts. They just won't even change the banners outside of Rogers Arena. To just cover Bo Horvat's face with like whatever, like generic white man number 5, and it'll be fine. So
she can say that. Sam and I can't say that, but Kaja can say that.
Oh, that was amazing.
That was good. So, and here's the other thing, and Sam, exactly, the compensation of the top 5 pick, truly, and you guys know, jokingly, I couldn't even say the tank word until February, when I'm not, like, I would always say I'm not stupid.
I tricked you into it.
Yeah, he did, and then I recognized that I got to show that at least I understand what's at stake. But truly, that's what was at stake this season, you guys. Is this is the 1 year where you're fine if you don't win 1 or 2, but at least if this is the year where you can finish 3, 4, 5, or even 6, they debate 5th or 6th. But yeah, a top 5 that outshines the last 10 years of draft classes. This was the year. And I think that's the tricky thing. That's why a lot of fans are frustrated, is because this was the year where they actually had a chance. We don't have to get into the whole Thomas Strand, Sat Shaw arguments that have been going on in the last couple of days as to how strategic they were. But we guys know, we've talked about this on our shows. They're too good to, when they play average, they're much better than a Chicago, Anaheim, San Jose, Arizona average. They just are. So without intentionally making proper moves or proper decisions, they were never going to finish in the bottom 5.
I think reasonably what I would have said at the start of the season is that they would finish somewhere between 10 and 20. And I think that's what I would say for the next few seasons, barring any drastic changes. And that's fine if your goal is to just make the playoffs. But I just want to see a better plan than, well, like, let's make the playoffs and see what happens, right? Like Colorado looked like a wagon last year. They were a wagon last year. Mm-hmm. They have not had their entire roster together for a single game this season. Gabriel Landeskog is not going to play. Mm-hmm. They actually, I think, had a fairly bad season by their standards, and they were still probably going to win the Western Conference last I checked. And like, they still have a decent chance of making a cup run. Like, I don't think it's as strong as last year, but like, my point is, you can build a roster that looks like that team, or like Tampa, and even then you have like a 22% chance of winning the cup, because it is the hardest trophy in sports to win. what drives me crazy is when people are like, well, it's really hard and there's this element of luck, so you might as well just get in and see what you can do. Why would you not just build the best roster to give yourself the best chance every year for as long as you can? And it doesn't seem like they can wrap their heads around that.
Yeah.
And I find it so frustrating.
The hockey gods are not very nice. And if it was all based on luck, how did Tampa make 3 finals in a row? And there's still, like, I don't want to say that they're going to lose necessarily to Toronto, because it's Toronto. But, like, no hate Toronto fans. Like, I'm rooting for you. I am, but...
they're all asleep anyways. Don't worry about it.
No, it's about... Seb's in the chat.
Oh, that's true.
I will grab my Matthews jersey. It is right there, Clay. Yeah, luck did not get the Tampa Bay Lightning to 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row. Luck did not get the Chicago... Never mind. Luck did not get the Los Angeles Kings to 2 cups in 3 years. Luck did not create these dynasties. Good players did. So, yeah. I understand, like, kind of having a bad feeling with how this Canucks season has gotten. I do think we would have gotten in that bottom 10 spot if we had the Elias Pettersson from last season in this season. Because this year he really stepped up. He's shown that he's, more of an elite player that, Vancouver would like him to be. He hit 102 points. Whereas last season, people were calling for him to go to the AHL at one point. So
unserious people.
Yeah, unserious, but it's the funniest thing. Like, I think about that tweet sometimes, and I feel better about myself. So
it kills your imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't feel as bad for having Luke Shen be my favorite, non-Canucks player at the moment. So
yeah. And Sam, to finish that Colorado thought, it's so crazy. It doesn't get determined until tomorrow. So if Vegas loses, right? Are they playing right now? Yeah. And then if Colorado wins,
Seattle, yeah.
Colorado can. What's the score in the Vegas Seattle game, by the way? It must be done.
Looking it up. Okay,
yeah,
Vegas... that's just giving me directions to...
I just did the same thing.
Yeah, it's just giving me directions and cheap flights. I don't want to fly there, NHL.
2-1 Vegas with 4 minutes left in the third.
So it looks like they'll wrap up top, but Colorado can still win the Central, which will hit them number 2 seed. Regardless, I don't like Seattle or Winnipeg's chances of beating the 2 division winners. But we can get... That could be a show we could do if we were absolutely stuck as a playoff prediction. So here's the thing for both of you. What would you say the Bruce Boudreau story was the biggest story of the year, or do you have a different story that you would nominate as the biggest story for the Canucks this season?
Hockey players can read. Colin Delia. Sorry, that was I don't know. Colin Delia, that one picture of him with the book. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Was he on the flight? Yeah.
It was on the flight, yeah. And then people kept trying to find out, what book it was. I'd say, there was a lot of kind of records broken this year. It was a year of... We're the bottom of the league in a reputation standpoint at this point, I feel like.
Yeah.
But... we're still in the middle of the league when it comes to points, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Sam?
I think it was certainly the biggest storyline when it was happening, kind of peak hysteria around December and January. But I think looking back, over the season, I actually think maybe the bigger storyline is emergence is maybe the wrong word. Return of? No, I don't know. Just Quinn Hughes. The development of Quinn Hughes, I think not only getting back to where he was before last season, but actually taking another step forward, both as a player and as a vocal leader. I actually think that's been a really interesting story to follow.
Yeah. Or Elias Pettersson comeback kid.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, one. Yeah, my 2 positives would be PD and Hughes. And actually, it's funny, Sam, I was going to use the word emergence. We know how good he is here, but I really think that the rest of the league now knows how good Hughes is. And if there's no Erik Karlsson putting up 100 points, maybe you'd get more consideration. I do think
he's a better defensive player than Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do think the Boudreau... The Boudreaux story was probably the most negative one, and I'd say a neutral one because it truly was neutral. Obviously, the trade of Bo Horvat was massive too, and that basically took over the end of January and all through February All-Star and as well. So, and we know we don't have to go through them all because we don't have time. The plethora of off-ice craziness that happened as well. So it's never a dull moment with this team, and I think I don't know if I'm grateful is the right word for that, but we always had something to talk about on our shows. That's for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I think, like, if there was a game over, like, Florida, like, what, just, like, oh yeah, Matthew Tkachuk did this and this and this again, and the Panthers lost 6-2. Like, I feel like that's, I mean, that's kind of like our show with Elias Pettersson, but with us, at least, like, there's so much drama. There's so much drama. Like, I am a few years removed of high school. This is more drama coming out of a organization run by grown adults than there it was in a public high school.
You see, Sam, how she dropped the high school reference again?
Yeah. I just need to preserve my youth because I don't know.
Are you sure they're grown adults?
Are we sure? Honestly, I don't know. Like, sometimes I think so, but Jim Rutherford could just be two little kids in like a skin suit. Like, we don't know. We don't know at this point. Allegedly. I will say allegedly. The Pearson issue mentioned in the chat, which don't know if he's coming back next season. The Jason Dickinson trade, and then he shit talks Vancouver after.
Played an entire season with a broken hand, undiagnosed.
Yeah.
I see a trend here.
Mm-hmm. Bo Horvat ended last season with a broken foot, and he barely recognized it. So, they pulled him out early, but still, Tanner Pearson issue, the Miller kind of drama queen, Miller's Regina George arc. I feel like that was something. Clay, you know who Regina George is, right? I'm just kidding.
Thank you. I'll look her up.
Oh, actually,
I don't lie.
It's Rachel McAdams' character from Mean Girls. Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have to do Game Over Mean Girls, where we like make Clay watch Mean Girls and react in live time.
Yeah, reaction video. We should do more of those. Actually, and while we're talking about Mean Girls, and these ladies are educating me, by the way, in the chat, as you've been doing, maybe type in the story for us, the biggest story of the year for you guys as Canucks fans, positive, negative, or neutral. We can highlight some of those as Kaja has been doing, but we love to hear what you guys are doing great. Interacting with each other as well. Mean Girls. Okay, there's a lot of things I got to learn for next season for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You got to learn all the chick flicks. You got to learn all the references. Sam,
I was thinking that Kaja is like the new Vanessa for you when it comes to the age cracks.
It's not like Kaja does it in like a much nicer way. It's like not targeted harassment.
That's fair.
Like literally, it just comes out of nowhere.
With Vanessa, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'll just be like going about my day, and all of a sudden I'll just be tagged in this tweet about like how I'm like 200 years old.
Oh my god.
Well, if you're 200 years old, I was dinosaur age. But anyways, well, enough age jokes for now.
What a year it's been.
I think we've all aged about 2 decades this season.
Yeah, it feels like it.
My hair used to be black when the season started.
I just want to touch a little bit on John Garrett. It was his last broadcast as the Canucks regional commentator or color commentator. I cried during the video montage, I will say that. It's been a hell of a run. Basically my entire life he's been broadcasting. So, well, probably, yeah. And just losing kind of that tandem of John and then it's the voice of the Canucks is going to change soon, and it's going to be weird.
We've heard others talk about it. It's been well covered, the video montage, but for you guys, what do you think made him so likable, and why did he resonate so well with this market?
You know what's really interesting for me is hearing Kaja talk about Cheech is, and you'll probably identify with this, Clay, and maybe people in the chat, is for me that was actually Tom Larscheid. Like my first introduction to John Shorthouse was Shorty and Tom, and I remember when Tom Marshall was pushed out, just being so devastated and being like, I can't listen to games anymore. Like for a long time, I actually just had a hard time following games. I used to like mute the TV and put on Shorty and Tom on the radio, even though it wasn't always lined up, because I loved them so much. And I feel like Cheech and Shorty also captured that same kind of magic. And there's something about Cheech that just is so lovable and relatable, and just he made seasons that were terrible just fun, and like, or as fun as they could be, and he made games watchable when they weren't.
Now, Kaja, just before you answer, I just want to jump in because I love what Sam did there, because Sam, where you said it was for you, it was Shorty and Larscheid, then I go back one more generation truly, and for me it was Jim Robson and Tom Larscheid. So it's neat how we, in all seriousness, between our 3 different decades, I grew up listening to Jim Robson and Tom Larscheid, and then it went to some combination of Houston and Shorthouse with Larscheid, and then now it's been John Garrett and John Shorthouse. So kind of neat to see that evolution. Kaja, why do you like him so much? What stands out to you?
I just think he's a positive force.
Yeah.
And just kind of like the banter, it makes watching Canucks games like an event in a way. Like sometimes when I go in the arena and I watch the game in person, like I will go home and I will rewatch the replay of the game just to hear what Shorty and Cheech are saying. So just kind of that effect. And I understand, he Shorty and Cheech, I'm making myself sound even younger, even though I've done that so many times during this broadcast. I apologize sincerely, but yeah, it's just kind of, I grew up with that, and now I don't like that it's changing. Like that was me when like the Sedins retired too. They were drafted in '99. I grew up watching them play, and now they're part of player development here, and they're in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and they're teaching the next generation. I think just there's a lot of changes that are going to come to the Vancouver Canucks in the next year. And that was one of them I wish didn't happen. But like, of course, your family is also very important.
And I would just say, Mr. Wilkins, and he kind of sums up what I was going to say. He says, I loved how he and Shorty would bounce off each other and all their jokes. I think John Garrett had a knack, and not everyone does this well, because sometimes when people do this, it comes across as forced, but he was very self-deprecating, but you knew that he knew his stuff, but I always say he has a serious job, but he never took himself too seriously. And I think that really came across on there. Even I know, Sam, you didn't get to watch the whole game today. Kai, I'm not sure you caught this in the first period. They're actually joking about the definition of a first power play unit, because a power play started and Pettersson's line had just come off the ice. So they actually started the second unit. But they were arguing over the semantics of, but they were the first unit on. So then John Garrett says to John Shorthouse, well, doesn't that mean they're the first unit kind of thing? And then it was a perfect example of the banter that they had. And obviously you can tell that they love each other. They have such a huge respect, them and Murph, that tandem that went on the road all the time. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that we're very blessed that we had him in this market for so long.
Yes, very true. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a year. I'm just like sitting here just realizing it's over now, and it's like hitting me. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
I have a question. Do you think Rick Tocchet will last another year as the Vancouver Canucks head coach? Or are we going to be paying 4 coaches? Actually, no. No, Green and Boudreau come off the books, don't they?
Boudreau will, for sure. Green must.
Green comes off, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Because that was a while ago.
Yeah, he signed. Tocchet signed a 3-year contract. This being the first. So I don't know. I think he'll last his next 2 years. Of course, after this season, then if he doesn't extend, then we're gonna have a whole year of talking about a lame duck coach. But we'll worry about that when we get there. But I think he'll do the duration of his 3.
Yeah.
Vegas just won.
Yep.
Oh, they did.
3-1.
Thank you.
So they're top of the conference and
they are.
the division. So
yeah.
Haha, Edmonton. Sucker. Anyway, um, yeah, I
What do you guys think?
it'll be a long 3 years.
You
It'll
think
be a
so?
long 3 years, but hey, maybe at least we'll get something good out of the JT Miller contract. So that's kind of a plus.
Sam, Kaya, when we first hired Talkit, I think this is a good talking point. I if you try and block out your bias, if you had any towards Bruce Boudreau and the way he was treated, okay, I I must admit, and I'll admit this, I don't think, not that he cares what I think, but I don't think I gave Rick Tocchet a fair shake. I think I looked at his poor record in Arizona without recognizing that they were truly rebuilding or trying to, and I heard a couple things, so I just wasn't sold on him, and I think he had the unenviable job of trying to replace Boudreau, but he's not smooth, he's not perfect delivery, but I actually like the way he conducts himself, especially around the media. Of course, that's all I see, but I've liked what I've seen so far. How about you?
Makes a lot of mouth noises.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I think he's done a pretty good job trying to be likable in the market. Considering when he came in, everyone was gunning for his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a hell of a time to hire a new coach. I'll say that. Like, yeah, change is needed, but wow, they screwed that one up. Of all things, the Vancouver Canucks are good at, they are not good at. They're almost at this year. They were almost at Vegas level of treating people well, like treating their players,
Yeah.
um, front staff, coaches. Like, yeah, just what a year.
What do you think,
Sam.
Sam, when he first came in?
Um, I was skeptical. I frankly don't think Talkit is that much different than Travis Green, to be totally honest with you, stylistically. Um, I was very skeptical watching the emergence of Clayton Keller and Lawson Krause in Arizona since he's been gone. Um, so I I'm happy that they had the new coach bounce. I think, as someone in the chat pointed out earlier, the last third of the season was the easiest stretch of the season for them schedule wise. So I'm going to reserve my judgment. I like him. I think he's been entertaining to listen to. I think he's certainly made a good impression, but whether or not he's the guy to really improve this team over a longer period of time, I'm not ready to give him that yet. I think it was a combination of new coach bump plus scheduling.
Yep.
I still remember this team is the 107-point pace team under Bruce Boudreau. So I'm
Yeah,
not prepared to I'm not prepared to redo that to
I'm
start
prepared
the
for the
next season.
heartache. I think to kind of bounce off that as well. I think new coach bump. It was a bit delayed. Like I know
Yes.
we won the first game with him as head coach, but then it kind of bounced back and forth between us winning a game. Never won like um back-to-back games, I think, until a few weeks into him being our coach.
Mm.
I know there's an all-star break in the middle of that, but I think most of Talkett's success has come at the hands of Thatcher Demko. And his return as
Yeah.
the goalie that we know him to be versus the goalie that was probably still injured, thanks medical staff, when at the start of the season. So I I'm kind of skeptical, that's not a word, skeptical for next season of Talkit, because yeah, like he had a good effect on some players, but then again, how much of that is credit to those players just already being good themselves? I
Hmm.
feel like he did help with the Miller situation a bit, but then again, the Miller situation was also going on considering the whole Bo Horvat situation, um, with, everyone blaming him for the reason that we're gonna have to trade our captain, all that kind of stuff, and yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
one other thing. Oh, sorry, Kai, go
no,
ahead.
no,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. One other thing is, it can't be understated, is Sergei Gonchar. Adam Foote, because if we're talking about how the Canucks are playing better, yes, Sam, I agree, against weaker competition, but the defense has looked better. And I'm not crowning Akito Hirose and Cole McCord the next coming or replacing even OEL and Tyler Myers next year, although that would save $13 million. What I am saying is I think Foote and Gonchar have brought together a really a good, just veteran Hall of Fame presence. And you see it in the way Hughes plays. You see it in just overall defensive structure. Maybe through a whole summer watching video, working skills development, all those things. I think maybe that might be a really good find. There's those two guys coming in at around the same time as Tocchet.
I think that'll for sure improve the blue line, although I think that was a very low bar in
Fair.
my opinion. I do think that Rutherford's quote of certainly adequate if healthy was an oversell. Frankly, I don't think they were adequate even when healthy. I actually think they've been better since OEL has been out.
Yeah.
So I think there's still, I agree the system is better. I agree that Hirose has been a good addition. I'm hoping to see more of him next year, but there's a lot of room for improvement roster building wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the defense as well, with OEL injured, you have seen, Quinn Hughes play these insane minutes every night. So I feel like that's part of it, is you want to preserve Quinn Hughes, but you also don't want to put OEL on the ice. So that's going to be an issue next season. We kind of mentioned, I'm going to do a little trivia. I watched the last stream of Game Over Calgary last night, and Audie was quizzing PK all about, what happened for the Flames over the last year. And so I want to try my hand at some. There were 5 Canucks players this season who scored their first career NHL goal. Could you possibly name all 5? Or at least 3?
Andrei Kuzmenko.
Cole McCord.
Aiden Madonna.
Yep.
First goal.
There's 2 more. One was on October 20th, 2022, and one was on March 14th, 2023.
Jack Rathbone?
No.
Dang. Sorry, I screwed us up. October 20th, right at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm. It was also his first career NHL assist that he got that night, and his first career NHL point.
Neil Zoban?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
very good.
One more, a defenseman who is re-signed.
Breezeball.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, Sam, we were almost perfect except for me. Okay, give us another one. We're too good.
Bah. Okay. 3 players hit their 900th career NHL game with the Vancouver Canucks. All 3 are defensemen. One of them is no longer with the team. Which 3 were they?
Oh, this is easy. Luke Shen.
Yep.
OEL.
Yep.
Who else is old?
Did Myers.
You think he got that? Okay, let's go with Myers.
It is correct. Tyler Myers.
Yay.
Drafted the same year, I believe, as Luke Shen as well. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Right.
Okay, one more. We don't want to bore everyone else.
Okay.
Although I hope everyone's playing along, but I'm not sure you're as good as Sam though.
You got most of the last one.
Oh yeah. Well, they're easy. Okay.
3 players hit their 100th career NHL game this year.
Oh.
Only one of these players has played all 100 with the Vancouver Canucks.
Podkolzin?
That one's hard.
Podkolzin is correct. And there's 2 more.
So Sam, I'm thinking like drafted 3 or 4 years ago, right? Like
I know.
Oh, Joshua.
Dakota Joshua is the second. There's one more.
100 games. Who's young? Is it a D-man?
No, it's a center. And he went undrafted.
Dries.
20, yeah.
You got all of those. I got none of those.
Yes, Sheldon Dries.
No, Sam, you're just letting me. You're very nice.
Yeah, Elias Pettersson. Somebody said in the chat he hit his 300th career NHL game this year.
Awesome.
So, yeah, a lot of milestones from this team this year.
Yep. So I got one pause. It's not a trivia question, but I think this might be a good one too as we look towards wrapping soon. What's the priority? Give me one priority. And in the chat too, you guys tell us what's the one priority for this team. I know there's many, but what's the number one priority for this team this offseason?
Oh, we need to change the seats in the arena. It can't be red anymore. It must all be blue. I don't know. That's a non-issue. There are so many other things to focus on that are horrific problems for the Vancouver Canucks. The seats are not an issue. Shed salary.
Shed salary.
Shed salary.
Which would then lead to a lot of upgrades. Yeah, no, that's true.
I feel like shed salary. Don't make any dumb free agency signings. Re-sign Petey is one that I think they should work on.
That's good.
They should at least start talking about it.
I think those two things are tied together.
Yeah.
Shed salary, sign Petey things are kind of not quite exactly two sides of the same coin, but close.
Right. Because we have one more year with him under his current. That's right.
Get a good backup. Do you think Sealov stays one more year in the A?
Dan Crazy P from all sports stadiums in Canada.
Ownership change. Let's get Ryan Reynolds on the phone.
There's some good ones in the chat there.
You guys are smart.
I think also, I mean, like, assuming that getting rid of OEL is a pipe dream, I do think they need a better top four option. I appreciate, like, I'm taking into consideration that Kronek will be playing, but I still think they need a real top four player that is not OEL or Tyler Myers.
Yeah.
Right.
How are they going to afford that? I can't tell you.
I think Tyler Myers goes potentially in the offseason. We'll see that. I feel like the number one priority for the Vancouver Canucks should be re-signing Luke Schenn in the offseason. That is, who cares about Elias Pettersson? Who cares about Mr. 102?
I actually like that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. It's either, like, Leafs, I understand, whatever, but Luke Schenn should be the number one priority for the Vancouver Canucks.
I haven't seen any media from him out of there. Has he, do they ever go to him for their post? I don't know if you guys watch their post games. I don't, so I don't know if.
I actually don't know.
Yeah,
if he's talking a couple times they have. He got in a fight and scored a goal last night, so. Was it last night? I think it was last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the chat. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'm like taking this in a totally different direction.
We're ready.
I want to know, what do you think is going to be the biggest surprise of the first round of the playoffs?
Oh.
I need to see the matchups before I decide this. Hold up. NHL 2023.
I know that the sexy thing to say is that someone knocks off Boston, but they've lost like 12 times this season. How are they going to lose 4? Like, I
think they can get goalied.
Yeah,
I was really hoping. I mean, I was hoping they would play the Islanders,
but they have Florida, right?
But they have Florida, so it could happen. Bobrovsky could do it.
Alex Lyon could do it.
Yes, Alex Lyon could do it.
Bobrovsky. It depends what mode of Bobrovsky you're getting. It's
I think either one of them could do it though. Yeah. Like it's possible. Yeah. And I think Matt Tkachuk could be singularly more annoying than Brad Marchand. I think it's going to be incredible to watch.
I can't wait for that.
The one that's staring at me, and I actually don't have a disdain for Toronto, but there is a 13-point gap in the standings between the Lightning and Toronto, but Toronto finished off 7-1-2, and the Lightning kind of limped into the postseason. So I don't know how realistic that is.
Tampa's also injured right now, and they're like actually injured, like not circumventing the cap injured. There's like some of them are actually injured. So I feel like that could also hinder their. This might be the year Toronto gets out finally. I do think Boston is going to whip Florida up and down, but it'll be a fun series, even if it's only 8 days. New Jersey and New York Rangers. I'm really hesitant for that one.
Oh, that one's fun. That
one's fun.
That one's gonna be fun. But I'm going to scream because, as a part-time Rangers fan, it will not be kind to me. Because just the Devils have just come out of, like, left field. That's what the Canucks thought they were going to do this year, and then they just didn't. The Devils have completely just shown up, blown everyone out of the water. It's been an insane year for them. They now have 2 Hugheses on the team. Luke scored the game-winning overtime winner tonight. Well, overtime winner would equal game winner, so that would make sense.
Yeah, they're synonymous. Yeah, that's true.
They're kind of like the same thing. Islanders Carolina will be boring as hell series.
But maybe that's mine, actually, now that I think about it, because do you guys remember when Carolina went 3 games in a row just about 3 weeks ago, they lost 4-0, 3-0, 4. I remember they couldn't score, and if they were playing against Sorokin, that one could be tricky, actually.
Yeah, and plus you gotta take in the fact that Svechnikov is injured, out. He's not going to be playing for them. Carolina has got bitten in the second round the last few years. I don't think they could. I think there's a good chance they don't make it to the second round this year. I don't want to say I want the Islanders to win, because I don't. I didn't want them in here in the first place, because that would have been the funniest thing, but then the Penguins had to be absolutely god-awful. It hasn't been properly seeded yet, actually, for Seattle's and Minnesota's opponent, so it's either Dallas or Colorado against those teams. We won't know until tomorrow, because Colorado still plays tomorrow against Nashville. That's like the only last game, I think, with playoff implications. Vegas and Winnipeg, as much as I hate Vegas, I think Winnipeg's gonna get washed. Even as good as Connor Hellebuck can be, as good as they may propel Josh Morrissey for points, they got no chance against Vegas, and the resurgence of Mark Stone coming back from the LTIR cave. Edmonton, Los Angeles, that's just going to be the same as it was last year. No real changes to the teams, except for Edmonton has, like, better goaltending now. Well, one better goaltender now. I'm sorry, Jack Campbell. You seem very nice, but just no. And also LA has slightly better goaltending than they did earlier in the season.
Sam, you asked the question.
Sorry.
What do you think? No, those are good breakdowns. Thank you, Kaja. Good playoff preview already.
I said on Zone Time earlier this week. I think Boston gets knocked out first round, mostly because I'm just manifesting it. And I do think this is the year Toronto gets out of the first round. I think that, and I was, like, skeptical when I said it, but then they actually, like, sitting Matthews and Marner, they beat the Lightning, and I was like, yeah, okay, I could see it. Because at this point, I mean, like, look, I like making fun of the Leafs. I think it's easy pickings, but this is a team that has made as many changes as it possibly can. They've responded to every piece of criticism about the roster that they can. Like, I don't know what else they could do at this point. Like, you look at that team on paper and it should be a cup contender. Like, I don't know what else they could possibly do. So it's either win or they have to blow it all up and start again. So
is Kyle Dubas a free agent in 3 weeks?
I say no, because I say they make it out of the first round.
Same. I also think they should just keep Dubas around.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's a fresh face in the rotation of old men in NHL front offices. Look at ours. Look at ours. You know, like Jim Rutherford, he escaped Pittsburgh before it all fell to shit, and now Ron Hextall's getting the blame for it. And, like, rightfully so, but at the same time, may have Jim Benning that sucker. Anyway.
Just use Jim Benning as a verb?
Yeah, well, I mean, it ends in ing, so, like, they taught me that in grade 1. That's a verb, I think.
Okay, they are teaching you guys smart stuff in school still. Good.
Yeah, no, I'm still in grade 1. That's, yep, just keep... No, I'm actually 2 years old. That's how I'm doing this. That's how I'm operating this whole thing.
Love it. All
right, I think that's as much as we can summarize how the season has gone. How the turned of tables. It's been a year. I've said that about 50 times.
It's true.
This entire stream, but that's like the best way I can describe it, because there were good things and there were horrible, horrible, horrible things that happened with this team. Let's just hope that we can get into the wildcard 2 spot next year and get swept by Dallas.
And while we think about that, we do want to reiterate our thanks once again to whether you watch one or all 82 of our shows this year. Thank you to everyone in the chat. And I agree with you, Sam. A lot of familiar names, that new friends that we've made along the way, which is awesome. We also invite you to support Game Over Winnipeg, Game Over Toronto, and Game Over Edmonton as 3 of the 7 markets that are still going to be doing shows next week specific to the playoffs. So we wish all of them best of luck, because we're very it's been a wonderful year for us. And who knows what happens next season when it comes to the 3 of us, but we'll figure all that out with the powers that be. But we're grateful for this opportunity too. So I'll shut up now, Sam, Kaja. I'll let you guys wrap it up if you want to give any other thanks, but we appreciate all you guys. Thank you.
Can't put it better than that. Thank you guys for sticking with us all season, and hopefully we will see you next season.
Yes. Basically ditto to that. I want to thank SDPN for this amazing opportunity to talk about the laughingstock of the NHL. Okay, Clay, don't make that face.
Sorry, that's my natural face.
Yeah, thank you for giving us this opportunity. Big thanks to Andrew Berkshire for, organizing us all and all the Game Over markets. You guys are all amazing. Producer Rob, you are a godsend. Thank you for being our sanity at some points when, tech stuff messed up this game. I forgot to put the QR code on this setting. So, yeah. Hopefully next season there will be even more milestones. There will be a 10x8 Elias Pettersson contract at least, and there will be less old defensemen on our back end. And maybe a little bit more success for the Vancouver Canucks. Thank you, everyone, for joining Game Over Vancouver for this season. It has been a blast getting to talk to you all throughout these 82 games. We're starting back at 0, everybody, so anything can happen. There's 82 left starting in October. So, good night, everybody. Subscribe down below. You can find Clay at Canuck Clay on Twitter, Sam at Samantha CP _ on Twitter. It's like, I memorized that. And then I'm at Real Kaime on Twitter. Follow SDPN, like the video, support the other markets. Pick your playoff bandwagon team. I've already picked like 3. So, yeah. Have a great summer, everybody, even though it's April. Have a great year. See you again in October. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.